Okay, so today is actually a very, very special day. Uh, Special in particularly for me, for both of us, but specifically for me. The reason being is because it's actually my daughter, my biological daughter's born anniversary day. For those who don't know, some of you may already know, but for those that don't know, my daughter, she transitioned about 12 years ago. Uh, she was at the age of 15. She was getting ready. She was encroaching upon her 16th birthday. However, she had succumbed to a blood disease, leukemia, and she struggled and she fought as much as she could. But God is the best knower. You know, it was His will that He bring her back to the essence. So, I tend to just, I'm not really, as I've said before, a birthday person. Um, but of course, this is very unique circumstances, and I take this day, and oftentimes I just take it to reflect, like I do my own actual birthday, actually. But it's a little different, I guess, being here now on the continent in Africa. And even though we've been here already for quite some time, um, it seems like for the last couple years, when this time came around, of course I acknowledged it, but this year seems a little different for some reason.
Mm. It's probably because so much has happened, so much death this year, so much darkness.
Mm.
It kind of like sparks the engram back up and makes you remember, and you just.
I don't know. I mean, you may.
Or it might be because it's been so much going on, having to have that connection could be a comforting thought for you, could be
Mm,
comforting for
mm.
you.
It's very possible. I mean, that's actually very possible.
So let me ask you, do you think if Izzy was still here, that she would be with you here in Africa? Like you would have even had the thought to come? Um, you know, would you have wanted to bring her here? Was she, what do you think? Do you think she would have wanted to be a part of this journey?
Um, well, it's like a two-part question. So let me break it up here. I think that first, I think she. It's kind of hard to say, really, but I think she would have wanted to come, or I think that she would have actually been okay with the fact that coming to Africa. And so it's interesting because when I think about it, it makes me wonder, as we talked about it before, to try to answer the question is, I mean, it's like the dynamics would be totally different. Like, don't even know if you and I would have actually met
Mm-hmm.
if, in fact, she was still alive. However, if she were, and we are at this point, I think that she would be okay with it. Now, here's the thing. So, when her mother and I, unfortunately, but fortunately, divorced, and I was in Atlanta, and I had to, it was a trying time for me, naturally, and I had to just, kind of step away for a moment. And so I decided to go back to my hometown, Harrisburg. And it's never been in me to not be, her and I to not be together. And it was, interestingly, her mother was like, here, take her with you.
She was a daddy's girl,
Yeah, she was that. She was a daddy's girl.
or what
And
they say, you're a dad's girl or something.
however, and she didn't fuss or fight. She was like, let's do it. So she came, and I was a single father for a period of time, her and I. And it's always been that mindset for me,
Mm.
that no matter where I am, what I'm doing, she's always going to be with me. And I'm prone to think because of that. And I think that she felt much the same. I really believe that she felt the same. And I think because of that, being here in Africa, I think that she would have said, okay, let's do it. Let's go. If she had not, I don't think she would have given me any fight in deciding to go. So I think either way, I would have gotten, the green light from her. Either way.
So let me ask you, when you're here, do you look for little signs of her energy or things you would connect with? I know when we visited one of the apartments, and for the very first time since we've been in Africa, this apartment had a particular bedroom that had an accent wall,
Mm-hmm.
which was the same color of me and Izzy shares the same favorite color, and it was our favorite color in the master bedroom for the accent wall. And for me, I immediately thought about her. So do you see things here that you connect with, or you say, my baby would like that, or I wish she would have been here,
Yeah,
or you feel her energy?
absolutely, absolutely. I don't know that I can look at it as if there were signs, but I definitely, when I see things as such, and that in particular, instantly, I think about her. And, she loved the color orange. And it, I think about when she was sick and the moment where she was feeling better and she was at home and not hospitalized. She had a certain way about her, man. She was just a beautiful, beautiful soul, and she was selected as one to receive what they called an extreme makeover. Not the major one, but they did a version of it because they always wanted to give children
Mm-hmm.
some normalcy,
Mm-hmm.
So they did a version of it and they selected Izzy, to receive this extreme makeover, but it was for her bedroom. And she actually had her walls painted orange,
Mm-hmm.
And so when I see that and had seen that in the apartment that we were looking at, naturally I just think about it. I think about that moment. It's a very wonderful moment for her. She was very happy, and the people were so wonderful. Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, man, they are really phenomenal when it comes to dealing with these children with this blood cancer, man. But they're great with it, and so they made that possible for her. And I mean, it was just incredible. It was incredible. So those things really become a sense of assurance, I guess.
Yeah.
You know.
And I know it's hard because you're here,
Mm.
and when we were in Atlanta on this day and the date of her passing, you typically would go to the graveyard
Mm.
and we would present her with roses or flowers.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to let you be able to connect the same way. And I got some roses that are painted orange, colored orange, her favorite color, to just help you celebrate and still feel connected in what you usually do and help to bring joy for this day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So, presenting you with your first set of roses.
I don't even know if I've ever received flowers before, but it ain't for me. It's for my darling Izzy. And thank you very much, sweetie. I appreciate it very much. And let you all see, it's very pretty. And I'm gonna tell you, as you mentioned, prior to us leaving the States to come here, and we did. We went to the grave site and we stood over the grave, and I don't, nothing spooky, but it was, important for me to be able to go, of course, to acknowledge her day and to just as much as I could savor, her in memory. But at the same time, it was for me to, in a very interesting way, to get her approval, and I know that she couldn't just say, hey, yeah, Dad, I'm good. You can go. but wanting to just be able to feel an energy presence, that will let me know, yeah, it's good. And that day it was really kind of a really like a celebration. It was a very joyous, you know, energy and spirit that I had. You were there, the rest of the family, and my ex-wife, my daughter's mother was there, and we prayed and we talked, and it was just really good, and it just gave that assurance that it was okay. It was okay to just go ahead and go to Africa to live abroad, and I'll be okay, Dad. I'll be good.
Mm. So, what are one of the things that you remember that you poured into her? I think we talked about it the other day about, you know, how she pulled herself out of self doubt.
Mm.
Um,
Well, interestingly, when she was at a time when she was hospitalized, she had to, spend her days in the hospital and nights in the hospital. I was always there. That was my new residence. I was always when she was there. I was there without a doubt. And I mean, overnight, like I'm living there. She's living. She's here sleeping. I'm sleeping there too. So, so um, as I mentioned, they always wanted to. They always, when I say they, meaning the hospital, Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, they always make sure that they give these children a sense of normalcy. And this particular time, which they do every year, they have this photographer that comes and he just sets up like a professional, photo shoot, and he takes these portraits of all of the children and their family and all of so forth and so on. And I thought that was extraordinary, and this photographer was phenomenal. And we knew the day was coming. We knew that we were, but as we were approaching upon that particular day, she began to feel like she didn't want to do it, right? And when the day came, she held on to that. No, Daddy, I don't want to do it. I didn't force her. I didn't try to make her force, to do it. But then, out of the clear blue, just out of the clear blue, she said, "Daddy, let's go. I want to go. I want to go. I want to take these pictures." And it was something that just sparked. I don't know where it came from. It just changed, like all of a sudden. I mean, when I say not her changing of her mind, everything, her whole energy, everything just changed. And it's like I saw her, I don't want to say for the first time, but I saw a new person, a new individual. And it was what I like to say, as I think about it, that I saw her discovering her beauty. She discovered it, from within. And to answer the question, and the reason why I preface my answer with that is because when she was a little girl, like little girl, I would do this little sing song thing, like, beauty on the inside shines on the outside. I would just, because I wanted her to know, always know, that she's beautiful, you know. Excuse me. It always,
Second take.
it always gets me,
Hmm.
At any rate,
Yeah, because she was going through chemo at
she
that
was going through
time, and
chemo. She was losing her. She's just turning into a teenager when she's diagnosed.
mm,
Like it was like days before her 13th birthday.
mm,
So 13, teenager, you look forward to your teenage years, and here she is, she's diagnosed, so she's got to go through this treatment, and she's losing her hair and all of that stuff there. So naturally, she's not thinking of herself as being beautiful or pretty. Of course, I would continue to tell her, but she discovered it for herself, and it's the first time I ever seen something like that. When the light turns on and you discover it, not from the outside, from how society says you're beautiful or what somebody else, but when you yourself discover it.
hmm.
And I saw it, and it was just the most incredible thing that I had ever experienced ever. And it made me. I didn't even think about it at the time, but as later years, I realized, wow, I used to I really tell her that, and it clicked. It clicked. Yeah.
Yes. So that's amazing, and all little girls need to hear that. They need to know Daddy thinks I'm beautiful,
Mm,
no matter what.
mm,
Um, so that's a wonderful, wonderful way that she can recognize herself. She's
mm,
seen it in your eyes.
mm,
So can you share with us? It's one of my favorite stories,
mm,
and it actually gave me a new outlook on how I see things, um, and spiritually. And that's when you told me about her last days,
mm.
her last day.
Her last day.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that particular day, it was a Sunday. I remember very clearly. It was a Sunday, and we were, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we were preparing to. I want to say we were preparing to take her to. I don't think it was anywhere we were going, but we were just starting our day, and she, brought her from the bedroom into the living room area, and she was sitting there. She was sitting on her chair, and this chair was facing the window. But it's almost as if she knew.
No, she knew.
She knew that she was going to. That was today the day she was going to, because she would just out of just randomly she would say, "Mommy, come give me a hug." Okay. She said, "Daddy, come give me a hug." So, like, okay, we both were kind of like, hmm. But we said, okay, whatever. It is what it is, right? So, as she was sitting there and she was looking out the window, and I happened to be standing near her, but actually at the window, and she says, "Daddy, look at all the horses." And I'm looking at I'm at the window, but there are no horses. But she said it with so much pride, and like she saw so much beauty that she could see these horses.
Mm.
And I said, "Yes, baby, but I don't see any horses." And she was like, "You don't see the horses?" Like, she was like firm on it. She didn't second guess nothing. She was like, "I see the horses." So I was like, wow. So I looked at her mother, like, okay. So then, not too far long after that, she said, "Wow, somebody's having a celebration." She was like, "At that house, somebody's having a celebration." I'm like, I'm still at the window. Like, I don't see, it's nobody. Like, there's nobody that's there.
Hmm.
And it was at that point I'm like, ah, man. I was just like, you know what? I think we need to just go ahead and just maybe just take her to the hospital. And she was experiencing some back pains, and we said, let's take her temperature, and then we saw her temperature was a little high, so we said, yeah, let's go ahead and try to get her. And as we were trying to, get her dressed, she couldn't really walk. She had to be, carted and carried around and pushed in a wheelchair. We had a wheelchair, and we were transitioning her into the wheelchair, and she took her last breath. She took her last breath, and
In your arms.
in my arms, in my arms. But the beauty of it was that it was a little bittersweet, of course, but the beauty of it was that she was in my arms. She
And,
wasn't at the hospital or anywhere else.
and she was happy, at peace. She seen a parade of horses.
Yeah, a celebration.
Hmm. And were you the first one that held her when she was born?
I was, her mother had a little bit of complications at birth. She had toxemia, and she was about a month and a half before the actual due date, and the umbilical cord was wrapping around her, so they had to take her right away, and Otherwise, she would have suffocated and died in the womb. So, um, of course, her mother, they had to put her under while they did this. And then when they actually got her, um, her mother was still under. And so they called for me. And then I was the very first one to actually, like, when they called for me, when they're bringing out, like, they called for me at the time that they were getting her to take her breath.
Take
So
her first breath.
I literally saw her and heard her take her very first breath. And I also saw her and heard her take her last breath, holding her on both times. So, again, God is the best knower. Allah is the best knower. He is the giver of life, and He causes death, and He knows best uh, when both we are to be born and we are to expire. And as I reflected on it and tried to understand, as a parent, you're losing a love, your child, you don't understand. Yet I sought understanding, and one of the things that was brought to my mind is that the blessing in it is that I saw a 360 full circle. I heard and saw the first of her breath and the last of her breath, and I was there. I was there,
You were there.
you know, and so yeah, that's
And the unique thing about us is our daughters were friends, but we didn't
imagine that.
know each other. We
Imagine
didn't
that.
know each other at all. I knew the mom. I knew her mom. So, but our girls were friends. It was a whole crew of them. They were tight. And so when Izzy did pass, my daughter went to the funeral. I didn't go. But, we sent food for the repast. I don't remember why I didn't go, but Malaika went. And when she came back, I remember she was telling me that it was a happy, joyous event. It might have actually been the first funeral that she ever went to.
Wow.
It was, because I remember I was iffy about it, her going. But she said it was a happy, joyous event. And so it was unique because we always asked, do you think Izzy would have approved of me? But the fact that her and my daughter would have been sisters is very unique. And I remember when I showed May because I had a dream already about him. We're going to talk about that at a different time. But I showed my daughter his picture. I said, what do you think of this guy? She's like, that's Izzy's dad. I didn't even know him. So it wasn't like I put it all together. She said, Mom, ew, that's kind of creepy. That's Izzy's dad. And then, she sat there and thought about it. And she was like, but I guess we would have been sisters. So that would have been cool. And, she had that thought. So it's unique how everything just
It is. It is. I
come.
mean, I think about that. I think about, if she had not passed, if we would have, you know.
Hmm.
But I think to answer the question, I think she would have been okay. She would have been fine with it. She was just that type of person. She was a special child, man. And I know parents, we think all of us, we think our children are special, and they are to. But I'm saying that, not just because I'm the father, but she was a unique, special child. I always said that, I'm too flawed for something like that to come from me. She was touched by something greater and higher. I was just it's just a vessel. Um, she was just a beautiful, special child, and her intuitiveness and her way at a young age to be able to see into things and into people and into circumstances. I mean, it was just, even when she was sick in the hospital, I remember we would be in the hospital in the room, and she would be getting tended to, and she would hear another child like crying, and she would literally tell the nurse, stop, go see that child. Crazy, but she was just that type of individual, you know. So she would have been good with it. She would have been okay, I think. And then, she's an only child. May May's an only child. Well, she was an only child, I should say. Pause. Cut that. She did have some other siblings, but she, as far as I'm concerned, she was the only child. That was my only child. I had no other children. So in that regard, the only child. And so that would have been perfect. It would have been perfect, And
Yeah, you would have been able to finish growing
growing
together.
together. And again, it was really very interesting that she did go to the funeral. It was like none other. It was like it was well over 300 people
Mm.
that had attended, and I didn't
Yeah,
know
and
these.
she didn't know
She
them,
didn't
but
know
they all
them.
knew her.
They knew her,
Mm.
and she had touched so many people's lives that we didn't even know. We were really very surprised when we walked through those doors and saw all of those people in there, and then when we walked out, we saw all of those people. It was inside, it was packed, and outside, it was no more room for people. They were all outside. I'm like, man, who are these people? And so it was a blessing, and I think about, when she actually passed, and it was the 11th year. It was 2011, the 11th month. And when I got the death, that didn't register to me, at the time. But when I received, we received the death certificate, it said pronounced dead at 11/11. And I'm like, oh, how is that? How is that?
But what did she always tell you though about those numbers?
Yeah, when she was, so, it gets deeper and deeper. I remember that at the age of 11, she told me, Daddy, when I see the number one consecutively, one after the other in sequence, she said it makes me feel strange and weird.
Mm.
And I didn't know what to tell her. I didn't know what to say. I said, "Oh, okay, it's okay." I didn't know what to say because I never heard anything like that before, and so just interesting, the dynamics of her life and her death. Is quite interesting. So I miss her, of course.
Yeah, and we wanted to, with the RT family, wish you and Tara happy birthday
Thank you.
for the born day of your baby.
Thank you.
And I think she would be proud of where her dad is, what he's doing,
Mm,
how he's trying to help make a difference.
mm.
I think she would be proud.
That's refreshing and reassuring. I'll take that. 'Cause I definitely hope so, and I really would think, so. And yeah, Ismaya Fatah Muhammad is her name. Ismaya meaning God hears. Fatah, which is the first surah or chapter of the Holy Quran and an attribute of Allah. For those of us who are Muslim, that means the opening, or the broader definition being he who opens the door to solutions to all problems. And Muhammad, one worthy of praise, which is a title that we are not worthy of, that we are aspired to, but it gives a testament to God, of course. And I think it was a good name for her. It was a good name for her. So, well,
Happy birthday, Ismaya.
Ismaya.
Izzy.
So we carry her with us here on the continent, here in Africa, in spirit, in mind, and in thought. And we wanted to, as my wife said, we wanted to be able to share her with you and you with her. And hopefully you also share with us her remembrance and keep us lifted up in prayer and good thoughts and positive thoughts and all that there.
He never wants to end.
Hard to end.
Peace.
Peace and blessings.